Okay.
Happy October, guys and girls. Board now, back with Rachel McDonald. On this video, we're going to be talking about quite a recent Shudder original. This came out last year, and it's an Australian film called Sissy. So the setup for this one is it follows the main character. Cecilia, her name is, but Sissy's like a nickname. And she is a successful social media personality. She gives advice on people, on their lifestyles, on her blog. And she is successful, but seems pretty overwhelmed by the success she's having. And we see her reliving her past, her childhood with her best friend Emma. And we see that they have become disconnected over the years. She randomly bumps into Emma one day in the supermarket, and it turns out Emma's getting married, is engaged to be married, and she invites her away for the weekend with a bunch of Emma's friends to like a cabin. And it turns out the person who owns the cabin, who's hosting this event, is a character called Alex, who was a bully back during their school days, who bullies Sissy, and we find out that's how she got the nickname Sissy through Alex as well. So it turns into that kind of her having to face up to this person who caused her so much psychological torment, and the horror side of it comes in where things get out of hand and it becomes a bloody revenge style plot, and things sort of snowball from that and get more and more out of hand, and that becomes the horror side of things. So we're going for a little bit of a social media sort of satire with Rachel. What did you think of Sissy?
So I actually ended up really enjoying this film. After a little bit of a rocky start, I wasn't sure about it in the beginning, but then it turned into this really funny horror movie, which I think we might need to say spoilers right from the beginning, because it's hard to talk about the plot of this film without giving away what ends up happening. So I will say from here on out, guys, we probably will be discussing spoilers. But I thought that, so it did get off to a bit of a rocky start, and there was a particular scene that almost made me stop watching, which we will talk about soon because it hit a little too close to home. But I thought this was a really fun film. I thought that the lead actress was really strong. I actually didn't know that she was an Australian actress, because I've seen her in some American shows and I thought she was American. So I was very surprised to find out that she was Australian. And I have to say, some of the fact that it was set in, like, I don't always love Australian films. We are getting much better now, but our earlier stuff from like the 90s and the early 2000s is not great. But I do think that we do horror fairly well. And I did have a lot of fun with a lot of the stuff in here was very uniquely Australian. And there were things that I was picking up on that I was like, okay, yeah, you're really only going to pick up on this if you're an Aussie. The drinking song that they sing to Emma at her engagement party, where they do the whole "Here's to Emma, she's true blue, she's a piss pot through and through." That's a very Australian thing. There was another point where they were referencing Kath and Kim, which is a very Australian show. They're in the toilets and they're saying something like, look at Moy. That's anyone who's Australian will know that. The main character, Sissy, she wears a shirt later on that says "You're terrible, Muriel," which is a reference to Muriel's wedding. Okay, yeah. And, you know, just a few other things like seeing like Australian cop uniforms and stuff like that, and seeing the cop eating like a meat pie, which is so Australian. So that was fun. I actually had a lot of fun with that. I think the fact that, you know, I really love the fact. So when I went into this movie very blind. I basically just read the brief description on IMDb, which basically says it's a revenge thing. So I thought we were going to end up with kind of like she was going to end up alone with Alex in a you know, a cabin, and it was going to be like a big revenge kind of thing. But no, I kind of liked how the killings in the movie were like kind of almost by accident, and I kind of like how you see Cecilia start to spiral more and more as she kills more and more people, and the way she just keeps kind of reacting to all the kills as if it's just kind of like, oh, it's just a little inconvenience. Like at one point she says to someone, she's like, "Do you know the day that I have been having?" And it's like, oh, sweetie, are you really complaining to someone because you've had to kill like a bunch of people? And I think that the main character does such a good job of like really making her character character both sympathetic and also kind of despicable, because you watch her go after like all these people and do these horrible things, but by the same token you can't help but feel sorry for her, because like you really do see how badly she was bullied and how much she's like trying to be like a good person and hold on to like this persona that she's created for herself. And I think some of the scenarios are actually just really funny, and I had a lot of fun with that. Some of the violence, I have to say, was like, wow. Like there was a particular scene towards the end where I was like, okay, we're really going hard for like the gore in this movie. But overall, I actually had a lot of fun watching this, and it ended up being very unexpected, and I ended up really quite liking it. What about you? Was this your first time watching it?
Yeah, it was. Knew that probably after the rocky start. That's a good way to put it. It got much better. And it's funny with the opening, I don't know, like 20 minutes, whatever you want to say for the setup. In a way, I can't critique it too much, because the way it was portrayed, I could see that that was on purpose. And it definitely felt authentic to the way people are sometimes, and the way this whole social media popularity sort of contest, how that plays out. But it still made it very hard for me to get into the film at first. Because some of the characters I did find so annoying in that opening. The one, I can't remember his name, but the one who's on crutches.
Yes.
He was very annoying. And I mean, at first I thought Emma was going to be quite annoying, and it was actually quite a surprise that she turned out to be like decent and quite likable in the end, which I think makes sense, because as Sissy's like best friend from childhood and stuff like that, you wanted her to be like more sympathetic. But I did find the first 20 minutes kind of hard to get through, even though I could see it was quite effective and I could see that it was quite true to life. But the second half of the film, I think it really got going more. I would probably say, because some of the stuff with like when they were watching reality TV and just reacting and going crazy, I sort of thought some of the humour there was a bit lazy, and it was just a bit, we've been here before, you're not really saying that much. And but it was definitely the stuff in the second half where the film really found its sort of groove, and where I think it became a more like entertaining sort of satire and like more farcical, like we said. And the setup and the set pieces were very like entertaining, and how you said they happened by accident and it just got out of hand. And I think you're right. I think the actress playing Sissy was really good. I think she really carried the film very well, and her reactions were like hilarious and painful, and it's sort of like watching a little bit of a car crash where you're kind of like, there's moments where you can just see that the car's going to crash. Like, there's sort of no way back. Like, there's a brief window where you're sort of like, maybe you'll stay on the road. But then it's, eventually, like, because the more things totted up and the more she tried to hide stuff, the worse it sort of got for her. And there were, like you said, some entertaining deaths, some really good violent deaths. And the one with the guy, the boyfriend on the clutches, that was a very good death. Like toppling off the cliff, and the way it was shot as well was very good. We got to see all the little bumps,
and then as he kept hitting, and it was kind of like almost darkly funny as you watched him topple down the cliff. It was a good one.
And because he was like, him and Alex, I would say, were the most annoying characters. So I think, because his girlfriend wasn't too bad.
No, she was all right.
So I felt a little bad for her being killed, and And I think her death shows that it's going for a bit more of a cartoony vibe, because that was a really unbelievable death.
Yeah.
Like,
It really
obviously, the
was.
death on the cliff you could sort of see, even though it was
Mm,
given that extra comedic value. But it's like, yeah, her death was really far fetched. But
yeah.
I didn't mind, because it's sort of in tune with what they were going for. But
Yeah.
there were certain characters like that you did feel sorry for. It's like, yeah, they don't. Yeah, because obviously Emma's girlfriend was fine as well. Like, she was
Yeah, she was
a
perfectly
little.
nice.
I just wanted to say, were you surprised how much of a villain Sissy ended up being? Because
I was actually,
yeah,
yeah, I was because, like I said, at first I thought that, like, the impression I got from the tagline was that somehow she would end up alone with Alex, and it would just be Alex that she was taking her revenge out on,
mm,
kind of like a hard candy kind of situation or something like that. So I thought that that's what I was going to be watching. So yeah, when she started like just killing everyone in sight, it was like, dude, what is going on? And then the fact that she was so blasé about it and so kind of like comedically, like, just kind of like, oh crap. Like I said, it's like she was treating them like she just accidentally, I don't know, killed a bug and has to get rid of a bug
yeah,
out of her house or something, She's not treating them as if they were actual humans that she's killing. And I thought that the lead actress did such a good job of like moving between that persona of like, yes, she can do actual real violence, but then she's going to sit here and like, do a little brief, Instagram live to her followers while she's sitting 5 feet away from a dead body. I just thought that kind of juxtaposition was very funny. But yes, it was very surprising. And it was part of the reason why I ended up coming to really like the film, because I ended up starting to have a lot of fun with her character. Like, what is she going to do next? How is she going to cover up this death? What death is she going to do this time around? And I thought some of the visuals were really fun. Like, for example, I thought when Tracy, the boyfriend, the girlfriend of the guy on crutches, in her death scene, because she's trying to help calm Sissy down, she's put that mask on her. So Sissy's watching the whole scene through that facial mask, which makes her look really creepy, almost like Patrick Bateman-like, like
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
really unsettling visual effect, but I really like it. And I really like how she just kind of watches, like, because basically, big spoilers here, but Tracy dies because her hair gets caught in the bathtub drain, which ends up scalping her. So I will now never take a bath again in my entire life because I have the world's longest hair. So if anyone's getting scalped, it's me. But yeah, she basically just stands there that whole scene just watching it happen. And it's almost a darkly funny scene because she just is so emotionless with that facial mask just standing there. It's a great, and of course the mask also has glitter on it, so all of these weird kind of like contrasting, contradicting visuals just makes for a really fun second half. Because you're right, the first 20 minutes or so were definitely a bit rocky, and it did take a bit of time to kind of get into the film. But I think once they got to the location, once they got to the house, that's where the film started to really pick up. And I think it just really had a lot of fun with its premise from there on out. And I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, and we should also say one of the funny gags in the film is that she calls that mask Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Yeah,
Mask. So that's pretty funny as well.
that was good. Yeah.
Yeah, that made me prick up. I didn't
Me
see
too.
that coming. But you're right, definitely shades of Patrick Bateman in that scene for sure, which was probably intentional. But
Yeah.
yeah, I thought there was some good stylistic touches in the film, like how bright some of the colours were and the choice of the score. Like, I think the score really got across how this is a really fantastical false sort of world at times, and almost like her state of mind as well.
I was
It's
about
like,
to say that. Yes.
yeah, she's almost a reluctant type celebrity online. And I think that was one of the contrasts is with, I mean, certainly Emma, but also Emma's friend, that they're not celebrities, but yet they're far more comfortable on social media and that sort of lifestyle than the one who is actually a celebrity. So that's really funny. Another effective scene I thought was the dinner table scene.
Yes.
That was really good, and that was the one that, like, if you were in any doubts what a monster Alex was, that really came across very strongly in that scene, and yeah, it just got that very cringe sort of awkward, like interactions down very nicely, and it sort of laid out the characters very well because for a lot of the movies, Emma was like defending her friend and saying, laid out with the various characters, some of them being, more douchey than others, but it definitely felt like quite an authentic sort of scene that would play
Yeah.
out in reality.
I agree. I think all the actors did a really good job in that scene. And yeah, the way it just kind of bounces back and forth between like Alex trying to diminish Sissy and trying to undermine what she's doing, and the others trying to like smooth it over, with Emma trying to, point out that they're all adults now, they've moved on. And it is very interesting. Now, Alex I think, was an interesting character because she obviously was a bully and a douchebag, and she obviously hasn't grown out of that. By the same token, though, when we find out the past between her and Sissy, and we find out that, like, after she teased Sissy, Sissy literally stabbed her in the face with a trowel. It's like, I'd probably still be mad about that too. And they were only kids at the time. Like, I find it really interesting that, like, Emma constantly uses the, oh, you were only young when that happened, when you could kind of flip it and kind of look at it as like, well, she was only 12 when she was already stabbing people. Maybe that's a little hint that Sissy is not all there. So I actually quite liked that backstory because I think it added a little bit more to Alex. And so it's like kind of showed you that, like, yes, she's a bully, but she also has some legit reason to be a bit suspicious of Sissy. And as it turns out, she's kind of right. And I think that backstory with Sissy, I think that helps to kind of establish that she's got that side to her. So when she does start killing people, it doesn't feel like, oh, why is she suddenly killing everyone? And because she does it in such a like an accidental kind of way, I think that really works and just kind of shows that added, like, the added side to her. And I like that we get the little flashbacks like in pieces, so we don't get the whole story at first. We have to kind of put it together ourselves, which I think was really fun. Of course, the first flashback we get unfortunately coincides with the scene that I was talking about. And we talked about this off camera, but Australians have got to stop putting the kangaroo thing in their movies. Running kangaroos over is definitely a thing here in Australia. And unfortunately, sometimes they don't die. So yes, you do have to kill the occasional roo. Now, luckily, I've never had to do this yet, but there will come a day that I will have to. So that was the scene that almost made me turn the movie off, was when they ran over the kangaroo's head, because I was like, hey, I don't need to see that, first of all. I live near kangaroos and I just do not need to see that. But what I did like is how it foreshadowed a death later on. And I thought that was actually quite a clever callback, when she's got the fiance in the car and they have the car crash, and because I remember as she was walking over to her, I was like, oh my God, she's not going to do it. And then she did it's the humane thing to do. And I was like, oh my God, she's actually going to run over her head. And I just thought back to the kangaroos and I was like, okay, so it wasn't a completely just out of nowhere scene. They actually used it to foreshadow something in the movie. So once that happened, I was able to kind of look back at the original scene and go, okay, that's all right. But I will say at that point in the movie, I did say to myself, if they do any more kangaroo killings, I am turning this off because I just don't need to see that. I live in Australia. I could see that any day.
This does get used in horror movies a lot. Not just Australia, because there's a similar scene in Get Out near the beginning.
Yes, actually, there is, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yes, with a deer.
And I think a lot of times it's just to give you a bit of a false jump, like, scare before we get into the main horror of a thematic link. But when I saw it, I thought, okay, not another one of these. But luckily they did bring it back later, so it sort of justified it. The Alex stuff is interesting, like you said. I think they at least create this other side where you could say, yeah, maybe she has a point. It at least creates a bit of doubt where you can, like, maybe decide for yourself. Emma's overall fate, because it was a little strange that she gets the really brutal death, and again that's very sort of cartoony, and I think because you like Emma, that's very uncomfortable to watch. And I think in the end it's like the ultimate FU for Alex, because she obviously does it thinking it's Sissy, and
Sissy.
is being filmed, and double sort of gotcha for Alex because she's killed after by the cop who thinks she's like yeah, that's a little bit of a strange choice, just because I would have thought that really brutal death would have been reserved for, as I said, sort of type moment.
I was very surprised when they made Emma's death that brutal. It kind of reminded me of that scene from, oh god, what is it? That Italian movie where some guy gets like pounded with a oxygen tank. I can't remember what the name of it is, but yeah, that was a brutal death. But I think it was less about, because often in horror movies we think about like what characters are getting into the movie. I liked it because I really love a movie where the bad guy wins, and I think that sequence of events towards the end of the movie just worked out so well and really played into the bizarreness of the entire movie and the heightened reality of the movie and the fake lives that influencers create, because I really love how Sissy makes it back to the house and is thinking, shit, what am I going to do? And I love that she does that. She beats herself up, and then she does that brief Instagram live where she's like, Alex so-and-so is trying to kill me and my friends. Now, she did this without knowing that Alex was still alive. So as far as she was concerned, this was just like her last little Hail Mary to kind of get out of the situation. So I absolutely love that the sequence of events made it so that Alex ended up implicating herself, that she ended up barging into the house, getting the wrong girl and killing the wrong girl, and then that the cop came in when she was literally about to kill Sissy, because I think it just works with that bizarre heightened like feel of the movie. And then I absolutely love that Sissy takes the fact that she is the sole survivor of the Alex massacre and becomes like an even bigger star, because I think that really emphasizes the theme in here of the fakeness of social media, and the way we create our own narratives and the way that we can create these completely false personas online and no one would know any difference because they're just a person on the screen and they can say whatever they want. So I actually quite liked it. Like, it was a bit odd that Emma, who quite frankly was probably the nicest and best character in the film, got such a brutal death, but I think it worked within the frame of the film and what they were going for. And I just think that ending, like, it was the ending that really elevated the whole film for me, because I just thought it was such a great and such a
if there was one person I wanted to survive, it was her.
Yeah.
But it's just something I thought at the time. But I can see how it works for the satire of the movie, and there's also a clever detail of why Alex makes that mistake, and it's because Sissy has done Emma's hair up like hers. So,
yes.
Because at first I thought, what the hell are you doing, Alex? That's Emma, and she's just going to town on her, and then it clicked because the hair has been done up the same, and because it's Emma attacking Sissy at that point, she assumes it's Sissy. So that's clever as well. But I think you're right for the satire of the film, the way it works, because sometimes if you just have a bit more of a, I don't know, less of a clear-cut ending, like, or if you just have an ending where Emma survives or whatever, and like maybe Sissy dies, it feels a bit like they're chickening out a little bit on what they've been doing for the whole movie. So no, it's an effective ending, I think. So it's a strong movie overall, I think, after a slow start. Also, the actress who played Emma wrote the movie or co-wrote it.
Yes, she did. She co-wrote it, yes.
And also directs it. And this was actually critically acclaimed movie. Like, I saw some stuff online. Like, one reviewer said it was maybe the horror movie of last year, but certainly getting some as a good indie style horror, getting some buzz. So that's nice to see. I love Shudder as a service, and although I think their back catalogue is very strong and you definitely get some good documentaries on there, I still think the standards of their original movies are pretty bad.
I actually agree. Yeah, you do get some gems, but I agree with that. Overall, not fantastic.
Yeah, so this one definitely stands out as one of the best that I've seen.
Me too.
Okay, so I think we're at ratings. What would you rate it?
So I think I'm going to go with a 7.5 for this one. It was
Okay.
good, but it did have a bit of a rocky start. And there were a few bits where it was like, yeah, okay. But I thought that, like you said, the second half really picked up. The main character is really, really fun, and I really do like the actress. There was also something I noticed that she did, which was really subtle, but I noticed it, and I was like, that's actually a really, really fun little tick that you've put in.
Oh,
When she's doing her live or when she's doing her internet stuff, she adjusts
yeah.
her accent so she sounds slightly more American. And I'm wondering if she did that on purpose,
Okay.
again, to kind of show how your internet persona is fake. Because I remember thinking, hang on, you suddenly sound much less Australian than you did before. So yeah, I thought that was a cool character tick. But yeah, no, fun movie, darkly funny. I did like some of the depth, and I thought the ending was truly spectacular. So yeah, I'm going to go 7.5 out of 10 because I think it was a nice, solid horror movie. And I'd like to see Australia do some more horror movies. We seem to do all right when it comes to horror. Just no more dead kangaroos, okay? Every Australian lives that every day. We don't need to see it on TV. Just no. So how about you?
Yeah, and recently we've had Talk to Me as well, which is
Mm.
a standout horror movie from Australia. So going pretty strong at the
Doing all
moment.
right.
Yeah. So I'll go a little bit lower, but not too much lower. I'll give it a 7.
Nice.
It's the first time watch. Obviously, it could go up on a rewatch. I will rewatch this one, I
Me
think, for
too.
sure.
Yeah.
So overall, like it's mostly the first 20 minutes that drags it
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's certain decisions maybe I question, but I think when you definitely get into what the film's doing, it does it very effectively. It's entertaining to watch. It makes some good points about, the culture that it's critiquing.
Yeah.
Strong style to it. Good acting. I think not just the lead, but I thought the others were very strong in it.
Yes.
Well, I thought the Alex actress was good. She was
She was very
a
good.
worthy
Yes.
villain
Yes.
in the movie,
Hmm.
so that was good. So yeah, overall strong movie. So 7 out of 10, and
Nice.
and a little bit of a gem. So I'm glad we could sort of do it and throw
Yeah, me too.
some light on it. Shudder original, so if you've got Shudder, you can find it up there. Now, let us know your thoughts if you've seen the movie in the comments below. Like and subscribe as always. Share us out on social media. If you want to support the channel, you can do on patreon.com/boardnow. Just $1 a month for that. You get some early access to certain things. You get movie and TV commentaries. Probably there'll be some extra bonuses since we're in the spooky season. But Rachel, if you want to promote your channel.
Guys, you can follow me, Rachel McDonald, video essays on TV shows and movies. I should hopefully have some Halloween special videos up by the time we post this. My Tumblr and Twitter are also linked through my YouTube, and Keith usually puts a link in the description.
Thanks, guys. Keep watching scary movies, and we'll be back soon. Goodbye.